People are everywhere, and especially at tourist attractions, which makes it hard to get nice and clean photos. But don't worry, in this video I'm gonna give you the tips you need to actually get better photos in these worst case scenarios. We all know how it is to travel, and how many people we find when going to more well-known tourist attractions such as the Eiffel Tower. I saw this firsthand on my trip to Paris. I went to the Eiffel Tower just before sunset to hopefully capture some amazing photos. But instead, I was met with this. So many people just walking around, relaxing, sitting down, drinking, enjoying their evening, and not to mention the big scaffolding just filling the bottom of the tower. So yeah, that was a bit of a challenge. But that brings me to the first tip, which is to be creative. And I know, creative, what does that even mean? Well, what I mean by saying creative is to think differently, take it as a challenge. You can move around, try to find a unique composition. If we look at the photos I took in Paris, we can see a few of the things that I did that fits in this category. If we take a look at this one, I went to one of the side roads, not only to get away from the people and the scaffolding, but also to help frame the image. I also really love this photo because it tells more of a story. It's not just a photo of a thing, but instead it's a photo about a thing. Here you see the tower bursting through the city and the trees, and I really think it conveys the feeling of Paris. And if there had been no people there, I would have never gotten this shot. The second tip is probably the one that is the most useful, however it's the one that is the hardest for me to do, and that is to get there really early. The reason why this is the most effective is simply because usually when people are traveling, they do not want to get up before sunrise to go out to look at a location. They usually get up at like 7 or 8 a.m. So if you're simply there before that, there will be basically no one. But that of course means that you have to get up really early. So just keep that in mind. If that's not something for you, maybe the third tip is gonna help. This is probably the one I used the most. It is simply to use a telephoto lens instead. If we take a look at this photo right here, it is also taken from the first sunset I saw in Paris. And as you can see, I still got all the nice colors and the beautiful light. And I didn't get any distraction from the people or the scaffolding. I also got this one as well, and it still got all the beautiful light, all the beautiful colors. Unfortunately, I still got a little bit of the scaffolding at the bottom of the frame. But with the telephoto lens, you don't only have to shoot details, you can also get the full thing in frame. You just have to move further back. This photo right here was taken from Sacré-Cœur above the cityscape. It's all about just being creative and finding opportunity wherever you are. For me, I like to shoot 1,000+ photos during a day and just sitting down afterwards to look through them and finding maybe like 10 or 20 photos that I really like, rather than spending hours setting up just to get a single shot. I know a few photographers who likes to sit in a tent for hours to get some amazing wildlife photos, or to sit and wait for the perfect light for their composition. And that is what works for them, and that's what they enjoy, so that is perfectly fine. But for me, I simply just don't have the patience for that. So I just try to get as many photos as possible. So that kind of leads me into tip number 4, which is to lock down your camera on a tripod and slow down the shutter or take multiple photos over a certain time. If you slow your shutter down to something like 10 seconds or more, your camera will basically remove everything that is moving by itself. That means people walking around, cars moving, birds flying, but unfortunately that also means that if there are trees or there are plants and there's a little bit of wind, all of that will look very blurry. It also doesn't remove anything if they're not moving that much, so if people are standing still or sitting down, talking, it will not be removed. If that's not what you're going for, then you can take between 10 and 20 photos and merge them in Photoshop afterwards. With this method, you can still keep the sky and the trees sharp, while still removing the cars and the moving people. But again, if people are not moving around, you're still gonna have a problem. Which brings me to the last tip: learn how to remove people in Lightroom or Photoshop. And I'm gonna show you that right now. Okay, so right here I have 4 photos. The first 2 photos here are the ones I'm gonna merge. The second one here I'm gonna show how to remove all the people. And the last one is also just to remove a person. So when you're in Lightroom, there's a few different ways to do it. There's the clone stamp, the healing tool, or the eraser. And what you do is simply just to paint out the guy, and there you go. Basically, that's just a single click and he's gone. For the next one here, you can try to do the same. You can paint out this guy like that. See over here as well. It is simply just going around and painting out the people that you want to remove. For the most part, it's gonna do perfectly fine in Lightroom. There we go. As you can see, I'm just going around here and painting out the people individually. This is a little bit trickier because there's a few more people here. Just make sure that everything you want to remove is within the frame that you have painted. Go A little more of his arm over here. Good. Let's see. It almost did it. And that's the thing with Lightroom. It's a little more tricky to get everything perfect, which is why I recommend to usually throw it into Photoshop if it's a little more complicated. But as you can see here, we've basically removed all the people, just like that. Only part is this one down here. And as I showed you, we could do that simply by painting over them. Something like that. Let's see if this is better. Refresh. There you go. There you can see. People are there. People are gone. It does not take long at all. Another way to do it is to throw it into Photoshop. Now that you're in Photoshop, you're gonna duplicate the layer by Command J. Then you're gonna zoom in here, and then there's a few ways to do it. If you want to do it like we did before, there's the spot healing, where you simply just paint over your people. Go. But as you can see, it is not perfect. So you might have to go in and clean it up afterwards, something like that. And up here, well, and the people here and here. This is basically the same as just doing it in Lightroom. As you can see, it is just painting them and they vanish. But in Photoshop, you have a little more control. You can easily go back and you can remove more if you want. But if you can see, if I just removed that in Lightroom, I would have to undo that and then remove him again. But in Photoshop, I can just remove this one as well. And there you go. Before and after. Again, it does not take long. You don't have to use Photoshop. Lightroom is fine if you're just removing a few people like this. Let's just Command S and back into Lightroom here. But something you cannot do in Lightroom is to merge photos in order to remove people. So to do that, you have to click on both photos, right click, edit in, and then open up as layers in Photoshop. And there we have stack 1, stack 2. But because I did these photos handheld, they don't completely match up, as you can see. However, I found these two photos where this person doesn't block the same area. And one way to do this is to line the photos up myself. I can do that by taking down the opacity, zooming in here, and then moving this down until maybe I need to do this here a little more. There we go. I'm looking at this one right here, as you can see. Something like that. Now it's basically lined up. And I can go in and I can create a mask here. And say, I don't want this anymore. And there you go. That is one way to remove it from the photo. The other way is to try and make Photoshop do it themselves. You can do that by shift-click on both of these. Go to Edit, Auto Align. Then this one's going to be brought up. Then you're just going to do OK. There we go. Now these photos are perfectly lined up. So if I zoom in, you can see how perfect they are. There's a little bit difference in the noise. But that is basically it. And then all you do here is simply just to add the mask and paint her out, just as we did before. And then there you go. You can just save the image. And now you're back into Lightroom. As you can see, we have some white spots down here, and you can see like a line here from where the photos were cropped into. So you have to crop the image just to remove that. But something like that. That should be gone. And now you have a clean image without any people inside. Simple as that. If you start using these tips when you're traveling, I know you'll get great photos, and you should click this video right here if you're interested to learn how much you can edit a JPEG. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.